answered all my questions. This is the answer.
That's like I could go to some of these other commission meetings or something. Yeah.
I'm Jessie. I'm from the picture we talked the other day.
Oh, you
That's my idea.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to the Newtown Action Committee Candidates Board. I'm Helen James, and the purpose of the Newtown Action Committee is to educate and empower the community in order to increase participation in civic life. May I introduce to you members of the committee, please? If you will please stand. Okay. Jerry Baker Graham, Shay Barnett, Belinda Bourne Coates, Valerie Bouchard, Charlotte Eagle, Shelley Freeland, Gerald Green Sr., Stephanie Hall, Ellen Heath, Ida Jones, Marcellus Levin, Vicky Meyer, Ardell Otten, Michael White, and Felicia Williams. Next, I will bring up Daisey Saunders, and there will be introduction of the candidates. And thank you.
Good evening. I'm Daisey Saunders, and I am the facilitator or the moderator this evening. And what I will do is ask, first I want to introduce the candidates. We have, and I'm going to start with the person here, we have Barbara Langston, who's speaking on behalf of Susan Chapman, who cannot be with us for the entire time.
I have to go to the planning board right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Then we have Kelvin Lumpkin, Linda Holland, Richard Dorfman, and Suzanne Atwell, and Pete. Hi,
I'm Pete Tyson.
Pete. I will ask, we have 3 questions prepared to ask each candidate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. Ardell will be our timekeeper, and if you're running over the time, I will get her eye. She will let me know that your arm will have to cut it. We're going to get the responses in the order in which you're seated. So we're going to start over here with Pete. I will ask each person the question. Once Pete finishes, I'll go to the next person, and we'll go to the second person. At the end of the forum, I will throw it out to the audience for other questions. And then at the very end, if time permits, I'll give each candidate 30 seconds to wrap it up, to tell us whatever you need to tell us in 30 seconds or less. Starting with Pete. The first question is, why are you the best candidate for commissioner?
Well, I'm the only one who isn't saying the same thing. All the others have taken money from developers in one way or another, except maybe Susan Chapman put in a significant amount. Well, this is the best I can do. I've been talking for 2 months. So.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you stand? If you stand up, it's
Well, anyway, I'm sorry if you can't hear me. That's about the best I can do.
Everyone move in a little bit. That would be great. That would help the speakers like church.
All right, so I started a couple years ago, and I've always taken a slightly different tack. I am not in it to be the servant or the handmaiden of the developers. I am going to be the servant or the handmaiden of you. And what happens is they'll build a big building, and there are thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars necessary for the city to spend in order to accommodate this building. Things like sewer hookups, water hookups. They probably have to make some improvements to transportation, or they have to suffer the consequences of not having those improvements. All of these things can be defined as money. And if they don't pay them, then you do. And traditionally, for the last 50 years, they have not paid them. So I am one, and possibly Susan, who is not here, who are saying that, yes, the developers do have to pay this, no matter how much money they give to certain candidates, they still have to pay them.
Suzanne.
very much. Thank you all for coming. I'm Suzanne Atwell. I'm the incumbent. I stand alone here as the incumbent, which can be good and bad, but I think it's very good. I've been a commissioner for 4 years now, mayor twice, elected by my peers as mayor twice. Why I want to run again, I can't imagine not running again. I bring consistency, I bring institutional knowledge, I bring continuity. I have learned a great deal in the past 4 years. Of course, there's a lot to learn, but I think I've also, and I think this is really important, I'm governed right now. We're campaigning, but I'm the one that's governing right now. I think what I have brought to the commission compared to past commissions is a lot of civility, a lot of respect, a lot of consensus building. Even though we may not agree on votes, I think I have brought those soft skills to this. I started here in North Sarasota 20 years ago as a psychotherapist in community mental health. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. I had clients from the Salvation Army. I have worked with our most disenfranchised in the community. And that has given me, over the past 4 years, quite a balance. Starting out as a psychotherapist, starting out cutting my teeth on the issues in the community, balancing that with an at-large commissioner, which deals with the entire community. I love coming back here. I'm at Robert T. probably about 3 times a week working out. I'm right on top of what's going on here. What a gorgeous, glorious asset. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished here in the past 4 years in Newtown, in North Sarasota. There's a lot more to be done. I want 4 more years. I have a lot of that energy to keep going. So I hope that I ask for your vote. And feel free to ask any questions you want. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard.
My name is Richard Dorfman. I first visited Sarasota in 1977. I enjoyed the city so much I decided to settle here. I had a home here for about 8 years. Some of you may remember me. I ran in the District 1 race 2 years ago with Willie Shaw and a number of others. My friend Linda ran as well. She beat me in the runoff by 16 votes and went on to face Commissioner Shaw. I guess why I think I'm the most qualified to run and act as commissioner is it's my background. I've been a sports agent for 25 years, and as such, my basic skill set is that I try to bring people into the middle. I try to take people with very, very different and opposing points of view and show them that there's value in the middle, that if we come together and we each work to bring things together, there's going to be value to be developed. I think that is a situation we are not experiencing that much in the City Commission. I think it's very difficult to build consensus right now. I think we've witnessed that. We see a lot of 3-2 votes in the Commission, and I believe my skills in negotiating will be very, very useful as a commissioner. We've got to be able to get people on the same page for the greater good. We've got to be able to go forward. Secondly, one of the major platforms of my campaign, if not the major platform, is we need to encourage economic development in the city. We need to create jobs. We need to create business. And I think in North Sarasota, particularly in Newtown, where your unemployment rate is so high, we have to figure out ways to get people back to work. We have to get paychecks in people's hands. If we can put paychecks in people's hands, they will come back into the community and spend in the community. If there's money in the community, then small business will sprout up in the community.
Thank you. Linda.
I'm going to stand because I'm a little on the short side, so I'll try and project my voice. The reason that I think that I would make the best commissioner is I've been a resident and an active participant in this community for 32 years. And I think a lot of you know me from my efforts in the Gillespie Park neighborhood. And I successfully turned that neighborhood around into a pretty difficult place to live back in the early 80s, just around the time that crack cocaine was making its entrance into our neighborhoods. Turned it around into the neighborhood that it is today. It's a safe place to live. It's a good place to live. And so I've not only been successful in Gillespie Park, I've been involved in neighborhood the north side neighborhoods, and including some of the areas of Newtown. I worked for an organization called the Community Housing Corporation, which did affordable housing, and we were the group that took the old Augustine quarters, if anybody remembers those, and turned them into single family owner occupied houses. So that's the kind of involvement in action I bring. I'm not just someone who talks, I'm someone who actually does things. I was one of the founders of the Coalition of City Neighborhood Associations. I'm a small business owner. I'm a licensed real estate broker, and I manage over 50 rental units. So that's what I've been doing again since the 1980s. I understand housing and know how important it is to our neighborhoods. So I would say to you the reason I believe I would be the best commissioner is because of my commitment and my consistency through 32 years of making safe and clean neighborhoods a real priority.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us this evening. I think I have the benefit of knowing many of you already. But for those who don't know me, my name is Kelvin Lumpkin. I'm the senior pastor of Light of Work International Church here in Sarasota. Lived for all of my life and grew up in this very area. Went to the nursery just a few streets over, and have tried the best that I could after I finished college at Bethune University. Moved back to Sarasota, started a church a few years later, and have tried most of my adult life to serve this community in some way. And so whatever happens, I'm going to continue to do that anyhow. I just believe that's my purpose. But I decided to run because of course, I want to have a lot of investment in the city. I've lived here all my life, and me and my wife are raising our 2 little girls here. So we want to see Sarasota be the best that it can be. I am particularly concerned about the incidents of violence in North Sarasota, particularly in this part of Sarasota. And some of you know it, and some of you don't know. I've buried so many young people over my pastoral these past 14 years that almost lose count. And one of the reasons why I'm running is because I am tired of doing that. I'm tired of burying young people who died ahead of their time. I am concerned about economic prosperity as well. And I don't know what the insinuation is, but as a pastor, my church has given out so much membership aid over the last few years, record numbers of people who've lost their jobs, people who can't pay their rent. And so our church has written out so many checks to help people get on their feet. I see the benefit of us growing economically. And I'm so personally not benefiting from it because I'm not a wealthy man, at least not yet. And so I want to see people work because I see firsthand how it's hurting all of Sarasota, but I particularly see how it's hurting people who live in North Sarasota, where the majority of my members reside. And so I want to see this area be safe and be all that it can be. My mother was born here in 1938 and can tell the stories when there was a grocery store, pharmacy on MLK, when there was economic prosperity. And I'm just crazy enough to believe that those days can come back again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. For those of you who are coming in late, Barbara Langston is speaking for Susan Chapman, who could not be with us this evening.
In addition to operating a small business for 23 years in downtown Sarasota, I have been actively engaged in many community service organizations and efforts, including almost 10 years on the executive committee of the Coalition of City Neighborhood Associations, including serving as president and first vice president and treasurer. The Hudson Bayou Association founding member and president for 5 years. City of Sarasota Planning Board since 2008, chair 210, that's where she is tonight, there's a planning board meeting. Ad hoc police advisory panel 209, addressing police misconduct and recommending community policies. Chair political campaign committees on behalf of campaign finance reform and stability in land use planning, supermajority for comprehensive plan changes. Chair the Citizen Voice Political Committee on behalf of professionals as opposed to political boss mayor management of our city in 209. Past president, Sarasota County Civic League 203-204. Past president, Sarasota Mental Health Resource Center. Past president, Sarasota chapter of the Florida Association of Women Lawyers. Past president and founding member of the the Women's League Fund providing legal service for working and poor families. Past board member, volunteer center. Past board member, prevent violence. Teen court volunteer. This community involvement has given me a strong team and consensus building skills. Governing in a team effort. I know how to work with citizens.
Thank you very much. The second question goes back to Pete. What do you consider to be the greatest challenges facing Newtown?
Before Pete answers, could I just ask, would it be possible to get a 30-second warning so we know when our time is also done?
Yes, thank you.
These 2-minute answers?
2 minutes.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Just a second. Ardell is going to sit right here so you all can see her. And it's big enough for you to see.
And can you repeat the question again?
The question is, what do you consider to be the greatest challenges facing Newtown?
I think the biggest challenge that is facing Newtown is neglect. That's the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge is people coming to the conclusion of thinking somehow Newtown isn't good enough. Because actually, Newtown is better than my neighborhood. I mean, I live in a place that only has sidewalks on one side of the street. Most everywhere you go in Newtown, there's a sidewalk on both sides of the street. And that's just to begin with. There's other things too. And so, what happens when certain members of the community, I don't mean everybody, but certain members of the community will decide there's one neighborhood that's not very good, and they say, well, let's redevelop it. Now what they mean by redeveloping it isn't what they're thinking about building something on a vacant lot. That's about what they're meaning when they say this. They're going to make all the lots vacant and build something really, really big. But the trouble with it is when they tear all those houses down, that's where people live. And when the houses are torn down, people have to go somewhere else. And they might not have anywhere else to go. If somebody tore down my house, I wouldn't have anywhere else to go. So I think there's two main challenges. One is neglect, and the other is kind of like thinking Newtown isn't good enough.
Thank you.
I'm not so sure, I would not say neglect. I think the past 4 years I've been a commissioner, a lot has happened here, a lot more has to happen here, and I could name, starting with Storefront, Robert Taylor, Kingstone, tearing down Mediterranean, Janie's Gardens. I'm hoping to see more businesses at Janie's Gardens, and we need to work on that. But I think maybe more importantly, an overarching theme that I've seen, I've been here, as I say, for 20 years, that perhaps we need, in order to succeed with all these things, all the issues that we have in Newtown, in North Sarasota, is a more unified political will. I think we need to look at that when we deal with different communities within a community. And I have to admit that a lot of communities we go to have different communities within communities. How do we do that for the common good of a community? Whether you're talking about the programs at this beautiful center here, this to me is more than about basketball. It's about educational programs for our youth. It starts with the youth, and when I see some of the programs here and more to come, I'm very, very happy. That's where it starts. Businesses on MLK. We are front and center getting ready, and I know we have build-out issues, and I've talked to Valerie about this, build-out issues with getting tenants into those. Chief DePino, I know, came here at the District 1 meeting. Boy, I have to say, she's going to be front and center on some of these issues. But she, as our chief of police, needs to also come to understand and work with a unified political culture here, that everybody's on board with some of the same things as we move forward. A lot has happened. This area in the last 20 years has changed a lot, but we need to keep going with that. A lot of it starts at a beautiful center like this, but all over, absolutely. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't get the warning, I'm sorry.
No, you were good.
Oh, okay. I was looking at you, sorry.
That's all right, we're good.
You're probably going to hear most of my answers are going to be around a certain theme because I believe that theme is very important. It's particularly important in Newtown. I believe the greatest challenge the city has is its economic challenge. And the economic challenge is even more acute in Newtown. When you have an economic challenge in the city, when you don't have money coming in, it means there's less money for funding. There's less money for programs. Couple that with the fact that, again, there's a dire economic situation, a terrible unemployment situation in Newtown. So, again, the greatest challenge we face is how do we bring money into the community?